Hey everybody, this is Jim the Tabletop Engineer, and welcome to the 2-minute Wargame SitRep. In this little snippet episode, I want to share with you my gaming table. I get a lot of comments on this. I also get a lot of questions about how I made it, and it's not super difficult. All right, so what it is, I'm just going to show you. I use this a lot when I play solo war games. That way I don't have to move. I can just turn the game board, the terrain to where I need to see it. I also use it because when I film my playthrough videos, I don't necessarily have to change the camera. I can just focus the camera and then turn the table so that the action or the miniatures or whatever are in the screen or in view. So how do you make this? Well, you're going to be glad to know I won't say it's cheap, because the Lazy Susan on the bottom, and I'll show it to you shortly, the Lazy Susan on the bottom was about 50 or 60 bucks, and that was honestly the most expensive part. And you don't want to go cheap on the Lazy Susan. You want to get a big one, and this one is a large one. The smaller ones, what you're going to find is when you put the plywood on top, it will sag. So this is 1/4 inch plywood. You can get this at most hardware stores, and here's the cool thing. You're gonna want to go and buy a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet of 1/4 inch. But before you leave the hardware store, you want to ask them to cut it down for you. In this case, this is a 3-foot by 3-foot square, and if you get a 4 by 8, all right, you can cut 2 of the 3 by 3s, or you just cut one and use the other wood for, you know, spare wood for a later project, or cut 2 for a friend. Make one for a friend. But if you have them make 2 cuts on that 4 by 8, they will be able to cut you out a 3-foot by 3-foot table. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to use wood glue to glue that piece of plywood down on the Lazy Susan. I will put a link to the Lazy Susan that I used for this video, and I'll put a picture of it at the end of the video. But again, it's a very simple project. You do have to store it, so I store this upright. When I take the mat off and all the terrain, I will pick it up and I lean it against a wall, and it does fine. You're going to want to use wood glue, and for the surface of the Lazy Susan, get some sandpaper and just sand it for a few minutes and scratch it up really good so that glue gets into it and also gets into the plywood and makes a good, strong bond. All right, if you have any questions about it, let me know in the comments, and I'd love to see your pictures. Send me pictures if you decide to make one, but it's a Lazy Susan and a piece of plywood, and you're in business.